Your fears are the doorway to hell. What do I mean by that? Simply put, that whatever we fear opens up a portal to all things fear-based around us. Fear is mainly living in our thoughts, because we spend so much time living in our thoughts and believing the stories that we tell ourselves. We fear the future, we fear poverty, we fear loneliness, we fear others' opinions of us, we fear sitting with our pain, we fear being victims, we fear failure, we fear what we believe about ourselves, and we fear our own potential. I am Zaben. Welcome to my new episodes called Intuitive Inspirations. And just a quick thing about me is I've been an intuitive transformational coach for over a decade, helping teach thousands of women to clear unconscious shame and blame through guiding them to befriend their disempowered self so they can live a more fulfilling, harmonious life. So let's get into today's topic. So if a huge percentage of our fears reside in our thoughts, how would it feel like if we had control over our thoughts? Would life feel less fearful? Would you make clearer and better decisions for yourself and those around you? Would you feel more free and confident in who you are? Would you stop doubting yourself and start trusting that you have all the answers that you need? Those were big questions I had to answer and ask myself. And to every one of those questions, I answered them with a clear yes. If we were not so ashamed of who we were, if we were not scared of being wrong, if we were not afraid of the future and what it may bring, our lives would be a lot less painful and a lot more joyous. Am I right? I mean, how many of you can relate to this? When you're sitting with your friends, or out with your kids, or even just driving in your car, do you find that time sort of elapsed and you had spent more time in your head with your thoughts rather than fully present to the space or the place or the people you are with? Really, think about it. How often have you noticed that your friend is speaking to you and a large part of your brain is busy worrying about something, and usually about yourself and what that person's going to make out, what that person's going to interpret about you or your future? So what are these thoughts? Let me tell you, these thoughts that keep repeating themselves and scaring you are thoughts that are stemming from fears that you have accumulated from childhood about yourself. These fears are there as an illusionary way to protect you from going through pain again. These thoughts are simply reminding you of other times you were yourself and the pain you suffered due to being yourself. Fear is only a protection mechanism that is meant to be used for real danger in your life. Like a lion coming to attack you, or a predator coming after you, a human predator. So that is what is stored in your memory to add a natural reflex for you to protect you, so that when you ever do encounter something so frightening, you have the reflex to either run away, fight back, or freeze and play dead. Now imagine if these same reactions were being triggered regarding everything in your life that had caused you pain in your childhood. What would your nervous system look like? Who would you be? How would the world affect you? If you are simply sitting with a friend over coffee or with your kids at home in a safe environment and you're under stress, where is the stress coming from? Obviously, from a thought. And that thought might have been triggered by an experience you had earlier that day, and you are reliving it over and over and over again, even when there is nothing in your current immediate environment to actually fear or be triggered by. The reality that you are fearing is only evident in your thoughts, when in your current reality you are actually safe and there is no immediate danger to plan for or to protect or find solutions for. The fear is based on future possibilities that align with your painful past experiences. Basically, you're trapped in a loop. You're trapped in a thought loop. So what can one do when this happens to them? Let me tell you, this happens often to basically most people. You are not alone in this. There is nothing wrong with you. Every person you encounter is going through their own internal dialogue. And most likely, that internal dialogue is not a pretty one either. And due to that internal dialogue that has triggered fear inside of us, we are retaining the information from others through that filter of fear. So let me pause this so that I can give a deeper explanation, because as I said, I'm reading off of the prompt because I receive the information as I type. But now I have a clearer perspective on what I wrote. So when we are sitting with somebody, whatever they are saying, we are not fully present to, because we are taking that information, processing it in our system through the filters in which we have adopted as children. So even the information we are receiving from our external world is being filtered through a sort of, as if you have these glasses on, or there's this filter in front. See, I'm seeing images, a filter in front where things come and then translate differently to you through those fears. Okay? I'll press play. Our perceptions are skewed because our thoughts feel more real to us than our actual current experiences are. Right? It's more vivid, it's more clear, and we've transported it to somewhere else. When we are in fear mode, when we are in danger, our mind alerts our body, and the body immediately secretes 2 hormones. These 2 hormones are directly related to the flight or fight response to fear. There's also freeze, but I'm getting to that, right? So the 2 hormones are the epinephrine, which is similar to the adrenaline rush, right? Which puts us in a state of more awareness and more responsiveness. This hormone shifts your body flow away from areas where it might not be so crucial, like the skin, the metabolism, and towards more essential areas needed, like the muscles. This is all done so you can be fully responsive to the danger you are facing, which triggers the next hormone to take effect. So these are the 2 hormones. This one starts off and then it triggers the next emotion, the next hormone to actually take effect. And the next hormone is cortisol. This hormone increases blood pressure and blood sugar and suppresses the immunity. The main reason for this is to provide the body with a boost of energy through fatty acids, which then allows the body to prepare its essential body muscles for immediate action. This is activated in order to give the body increased strength and speed in anticipation of fighting or running. Isn't that miraculous what our body can do? Miraculous. Now, if our body chooses the freeze response, then the body is basically in a paralyzed state. I'm sure you know how this feels, everyone who has anxiety. Our heart rate and breathing slow down. We may notice that we are holding our breath, slowing our system down to resemble death. This response happens when we recognize that fighting or fleeing the situation is not possible. The stress hormones are triggered with no action being taken, and so the parasympathetic system in our bodies start flooding our system. Now, it may sound like a good thing. However, when the body's under tremendous stress, the body is trying to counterbalance this amount of stress, which simply gets us into a numbing feeling. We experience being trapped in our bodies. We may feel cold and numb. Our heart rates, just picture a bit of anxiety. That's the closest thing, right? And our memory may also be affected, which prevents us from recalling parts of the traumatic experience. Isn't that wonderful? So we start to experience a sense of powerlessness to defend ourselves, which in turn allows our brain to shut down, enabling us to disassociate from the experience. That is how we disassociate from self. It's a survival mechanism. So to live in a fear state constantly is extremely unhealthy for us, as it shuts down non-essential functions of the body, such as the immunity, our digestive system, growth hormones, productive organs, skin renewal, respiratory system, because we're breathing really short, right? Moods, our memory, learning and concentration, muscle tensions, heart rates, blood pressure increases, and the metabolism slows down. All this happens and so much more, so it can provide the soul with the basic survival functions that the body needs to have at that very moment for safety. So it's not a healthy place to stay in, especially if these reactions are thought-based, if the danger is not in your now. Is this making sense? I hope so. Okay, so let's move on to how you can start to recognize the difference between your thoughts and your reality, which is really hard when you're unaware of any of this, right? You're like on autopilot. So the best and easiest way to go about this is to simply first recognize that you are in your thoughts, okay? What helps is to breathe in deeply a few times and just allow the air to go in and to exhale it out with ease. This helps to alert the body that there is no real danger around, because we want the body to know there is no danger. We have to choose to do certain things with our bodies to get it out of the fear mode. Because remember, we're not breathing properly when we are in fear. So we need to allow the body to know that it's doing okay. I gotta rewind. Okay. Another thing that really works well once you're done with the breathing, extend your arms outwards. Basically, you're opening up yourself. You could stretch upwards, you could stretch sideways, whatever it takes. This also gives an indication to the body to release and relax, instead of clenching and closed off due to danger, which is basically a contracted state of being. Instead, you are now expanding yourself, alerting the body you are safe. Stretch your body around. Sit up straight. Move around a little bit. Just stretch anything. That'll help you. Why is that important? I had to pause that. Why is it important? Because as I just described, what fear happens is so many parts of your body shut down. Okay? And to only know that you are in a fear-based is by noticing that you are breathing. Your breaths are a lot shorter. You're trying to hold the breath in. Or you're trying to contain it to play dead or like not disturb or have an out-of-body experience, right? So the most important thing is once you're like suffocated by the thoughts, and you want to bring yourself back to wherever you actually are in your very present moment, the easiest and the cheapest and the most natural thing we have, the given tool by the divine source, by God, the tool we have without having to do anything, is breathing. So you breathe, and you breathe out. You don't have to do all these movements and close your eyes like I am, especially if you're in front of people or at work or in a space where no one can see you do all that. You can do it just. And as you're doing it, notice that you are breathing. Bring your thoughts to notice you are breathing. Even if for a few seconds you can notice the tingly coolness of it coming out in and the heat that it's coming out. And just breathe. This will allow your nervous system to relax and know that there is no immediate danger, that whatever it was viewing in your mind as thoughts that looked so real is not reality. Right? And then you can also stretch out, because you'll notice when you're in fear, you're clenched, you're closed off, the shoulders are in, you're not in your comfortable human posture, right? If you can just at least just go like as if you're stretching and yawning, do that. If you don't want to make a big deal, just be like, oh, I'm cracking my neck. Open yourself up, and breathe. You can say anything. Nobody really has to know what you're doing. You can just do it, right? You can just stand up and just walk, If you're with your kids or with friends who know who you are, or you're even alone, just wiggle the body, And sometimes making sounds really helps. It distracts the brain from believing these thoughts, because if you have the ability to go, or hee-hoo, 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 there is no real danger, right? Because you're making sound and they're funny sounds. So that's also another thing. I just received that. I hadn't written it down, so I just received that sound thing. So yeah, I do that a lot too. So that's another way to also bring yourself out of the trap of fear, so that you can actually give yourself enough breathing space to gather yourself again, right? And to have perspective as to where you are and where the problem is. Because it is near impossible to solve a problem when you are in the problem, right? When you're in the problem, you only keep producing more problems to ignite the problem. So you'll notice that a chain reaction happens to all these thoughts, and things from the past come, and projections into the future, and they're all exactly the same fear-based nonsense, honestly, that our brain does, right? And we feel trapped, and that's why you want to release feeling trapped, and your body is the way to do it. You just outstretch your arms, okay? Continue reading. So once you do those things, before diving back into your thoughts, pay attention to something around you that is simple, like the color of the walls if you're sitting indoors, and if you're outdoors, look up at the sky. Now you've opened up yourself. Notice a leaf, notice a bird, a bee, a fly. It doesn't even matter what you pay attention to, because nature has a way of clearing up pain once we are in observing mode of it. When we observe nature instead of our thoughts, it has a healing ability for us. And finally, once you have relaxed the body, tell yourself kind things, such as, it is okay, I'm afraid. I accept that I'm afraid. Or, I'm afraid of this or that or whatever. And so it's okay, I can be afraid of this scenario or this. Give yourself permission to be okay. I'll repeat that. Give yourself permission to be okay with it as you observe your surrounding environment. As you're looking at that flower, paying attention. And my favorite thing are the clouds in the sky. That's my utopia. And of course, if there's a waterfall and waters, I'm totally gone, right? But if there isn't, pay attention to your nature environment. Okay? Because, and I want you to give yourself the permission to be okay with the feelings of fear that you have been going through as you observe your surrounding environment. As you're observing, be okay with yourself. Do not fight against it. Simply accept it for what it is and be kind to yourself. If you have never been kind to yourself before, then simply try this out. Say something nice to yourself and forgive yourself for not allowing yourself to feel pain and fear. There is nothing wrong with you feeling. It is only what you interpret these feelings to be that is scaring you the most. So just allow and be with it and be kind to you. Just be kind to you. Do not abuse yourself when you're in fear. Show kindness to yourself when you're in fear. I hope this was helpful and insightful for you. Take baby steps. There is no race to get to the finish line. Remember that the finish line is death. So enjoy the unfolding of your experiences during your life. And if you have any questions you would like me to answer, please feel free to leave them in the comments box or use my email to share them with me so that I can address them in one of the videos. I just wanted you to know that to get notified when I post the next episode, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you like this episode, just press like. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.